Many of witnesses of viewing the wrath of avoiding the Ravish, they all wish to remain anonymous. Remember, this is back in 2013. There were times in which the Ravish has made special guest appearances to watch Brandywine's shitty boys basketball team. Nobody really knew why the Ravish would watch such a recreational sport, unless as described by a member of the media on the radio put it during halftime. Well, the Bobcat boys are losing again really bad, and folks, I'm telling you, there is terror in this gym, worse than the Cats jump shots. There is a student in this facility that sources tell me is known only as the Ravish, and it appears that he is pinning everybody in the stands. This is unbelievable. I've never seen somebody so angry over a basketball game to take it out on his fans. Oh, wait a minute. The Ravish is now... Is he... Yes, he is now pinning everybody from the visiting side too. Oh, the humanity. Someone has to stop him. Oh, good. A police officer is coming over to him. I think this madness is over, folks. Oh, shit. I apologize for my language, sports fans, but the Ravish just pinned the officer. I've never seen such a display of human strength before. He is like a rhino with grizzly bear hands and a smirk identical to the Tasmanian devil. Oh no, he is coming right for me. Help! No, please don't pin me, Ravish. That's the Ravish to you. Now come here. No, don't you say no to the Ravish. I said come here, damn it. Ah! Yes, that really did happen. The Ravish isn't all about brains and brawn, he also has a sensitive side too. He has courted many girlfriends in his years full of love, compassion, passionate lovemaking, and golden showers. Some of his girlfriends recall the Ravish as a sensitive human being and the sweetest guy ever. I remember a time when I was dating the Ravish, and I called him crying because my puppy dog ran away. He asked me if he could comfort me by coming over to suck my tits. He was very thoughtful of my feelings because I didn't want to strain my neck that night. That is just one example of the Ravish showing a lighter side of him. Another former lover of the Ravish recalls an account during Valentine's Day. The Ravish was rather pissy because he couldn't eat, but he was still able to eat out my pussy. It made us both happy, and he still made weight the next day. It's hard not to fall in love with this little Romeo, especially when it came to thinking of imaginative ideas to improve the relationship, as another former lover of the Ravish recounted. Oh, the Ravish was such a very naughty boy. I'm not even going to comment on the poop brisket I laid on his chest as he gave me a dirty Sanchez. Well, I guess I did just tell you about the poop brisket I laid on his chest as he gave me a dirty Sanchez. It's hard to resist the muscles of the Ravish, but it makes role-playing just a little complicated, as another former girlfriend describes in a fantasy come true. I duct-taped him to my bed and was supposed to have control over him for one night, but he was able to break free. I don't know how he did it. He just simply ripped it off of him without the aid of scissors, knives, or his fingernails. He is just that amazing. Yes. The Ravish is indeed a ladies' man. Every year in high school, the Ravish was able to qualify for the state tournament. What comes with qualifying for state comes great responsibility for all the newbies that come with him. This is the routine in which the Ravish has practiced for years and displayed each of these practices all 4 years. Rule number 1. Look at my dick. At Brandywine, it's tradition to have a steak dinner with all the individual regional qualifiers, regardless if they qualify for state or not. Once a wrestler other than the Ravish qualifies for state, the Ravish will ask you to go to the bathroom with him. While in there, the Ravish will just pull down his pants and make you look at his schlong. The Ravish will tell you words of wisdom while standing straight up with his hands at his hips, pants at his ankles, and wiener showing erect. He won't even tell you to look at it unless you make eye contact with him. If you look in his eyes, the Ravish will say, "What the hell are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something important, so keep looking at my dick." Once the Ravish shares his wisdom, everyone goes back to their table. The new state qualifier becomes shaky, almost a little sweaty, but fears to tell anybody of what happened. Number 2. Feel the burn. No, I'm not talking about Bernie Sanders. One fine February evening in the house of the Ravish, he, the Ravish, will insist that you bleach your hair. The Ravish will use too much product on the new state qualifier, and they'll feel the burn. When they ask, "Is it supposed to burn this much?" the Ravish responds, "Yeah, so quit your bitching." After a quick photo, the Ravish pins the newbie to the ground and again forces him to look at his penis. Rule number 3. The fear of the unknown. No rule for this if the long drive to Auburn Hills and the Ravish is full of fun-filled ideas to fill the void. The goal is to fuck with the newbie with all sorts of stories that can be so gross, so disheartening, that the newbie thinks that going to state was a bad idea. A couple of weeks ago, the state qualifier was thinking, "Oh boy, I'm going to state!" Now he has second thoughts as, "Oh no, I'm going to state! Please don't make me go! Ask my opponents to drive over here to wrestle me! If I must go to Auburn Hills, please don't make me share a room with the Ravish!" Rule number 4. Wipe my ass. Once in the hotel and settled, the Ravish will require to use the restroom. More than likely he'll poop, and he'll flush, making the newbie think that he's all done. Really all that was a courtesy flush. The Ravish opens the door and tells the newbie to come in, rusing him into believing that they were going to check their weight. That is when the Ravish, still with his pants down, tells the newbie to wipe his ass. Against the will of the newbie, the Ravish will say, "Maybe some of my good shit will rub off on you." And most of the time, because the toilet paper there is thin and not so good, some rich poo will go in between the newbie's fingernails. The Ravish will laugh and ask the newbie to join him in a laugh for the funny misfortune that the newbie just endured. Scared and fingers full of shit, the newbie complies with the Ravish's demands. And rule number 5. It's snuggle time. It's time for bed. Even the Ravish needs to sleep. Even though there are 2 beds, all you need is 1. The Ravish will say as the newbie gets himself situated on the other bed, "And just what the hell do you think you're doing? There is room for 1 more here." Despite the fight the newbie puts up, eventually the Ravish pulls him into his bed and throws the covers over, in which they spoon all night long. It's a hot room to begin with, but it gets even hotter. The Ravish sleeps comfortably while the newbie stays wide awake, scared that if he moves, the Ravish will wake up and he won't be happy. So, with that being said, this is my final thoughts about the Ravish. He is one of the most decorated wrestlers ever in the history of Brandywine High School. He has a good sense of humor and a tremendous pride for himself, and that is why I can get away with revealing these stories. Although all the stories you just read seem like tall tales, the fact of the matter is, the Ravish has lived them, and only he knows the truth. The photography speaks for itself that indeed, the Ravish was there. Believe me when I say there is no other person in the world like the Ravish. He is a man among boys. He makes the sun shine by stepping outside to live a day in his own shoes. Although the Ravish seems to be depicted as a vain person in this book, in all actuality, it's the events that happen in here that make him sane. As he gets older, he'll continue his high level of adventure and discovery. He will bring smiles to faces and tears to his opposition because he is the Ravish, and he is one of a kind. There are a lot of people in this world who wish to have the powers of the Ravish, the brains of the Ravish, the looks of the Ravish, and the last name of Ravish. But he alone is the only Ravish. All of his loyal subjects fail miserably at mimicking his persona and alleged fear he injects into others. The Ravish does stalk his prey in the night, and his prey might be you. The end.